right. So we've got this amazing young woman here who has now come back to tell us that this drug that they stumbled upon, this long-standing drug used to treat one thing, maybe has some use on another inhalation disease, silicosis. Tell us about how you discovered that and what that is.
Yeah, so just to give like a little bit of a recap for COVID, Ramatroban successfully treated my very own grandmother in 2021 when she fell ill with severe
This
COVID-19
was like in India or someplace or
in
whatever,
India,
right?
and because no medications were working and her oxygen levels fell to 82%. Within 24 hours of taking the medication, her O2 levels went up to the 90s and she went on to make a full recovery. Ramatroban treated her along with three other severe COVID-19 patients in India. So we managed to actually get funding to test Ramatroban in a clinical trial of hospitalized patients, which is currently ongoing in India.
So why, given the data and the published information that you got, why was the FDA? It seems like nobody was paying attention here in the United States. We're all desperately searching for something. The former president was pursuing one drug that was controversial. Everybody's running around saying there might be something already we have that can be repurposed for this use. Why did nobody respond? Why wasn't this front page news in medical science today in the United States?
Well, I guess it wasn't front page news because we're not a big company. We're not like Pfizer or Moderna, but we actually got funding from Open Philanthropy, which is a foundation created by the Facebook founders, and they wanted to put their money into philanthropic use. So we received a funding for the acute phase of the clinical trial from Open Philanthropy. As you may know, COVID-19 is also associated with a with long COVID,
Yeah,
which is the persisting symptomatology that can occur after recovery from the acute
right.
phase. And there are over 200 symptoms identified in long COVID.
Wow.
We have a 1 year follow-up phase of our study, and that follow-up phase is funded by the government, by BARDA.
Okay. And is that by the United States government or this is the Indian government?
A US government.
U.S. government. So you did get some response. People did pay attention.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you were on, you were like, we got this thing, we found it. Nobody seems to pay much attention to it. Everybody's scrambling around looking for something. We might have something here. All right. So you got this funding and you're pursuing that. But in the process, you discovered what? This might work for some other disease that I never even heard of.
So we've also been looking at other diseases that have a similar mechanism of action as COVID-19, this lipid mediator storm, which can be targeted with Ramatroban. And there is a pressing, probably one of the biggest public health issues that immigrant workers are facing, and that's silicosis. Despite what the name suggests, silicosis is no laughing matter.
Yeah.
It is caused by silica dust inhalation. To give you a perspective, quartz countertops are perhaps one of the most popular types of countertops used in the US.
I got them all over my house. Right.
Yeah. Because of their durability and their ease of maintenance. Even Martha Stewart had recommended the use of quartz countertops.
Right.
It is made up of 95% silica dust bonded together by a resin.
Mm-hmm.
So when workers are cutting and fabricating these quartz countertops, it leads to release of silica dust particles that they inhale. This causes silicosis or scarring of the lungs. This progressive scarring or fibrosis can lead to need for lung transplantation. So it is
Lung transplants. So what, Dr. Trin, you're a doctor. I know there's a million things you got to memorize here. Have you ever heard anybody talk about this silly disease called silicosis? Not so silly.
Yeah, very rare. It doesn't get the attention it deserves. It's stuff that you read in medical school and are on board exams, but it doesn't get the press that it needs. And I'm glad it's getting some attention now because this potential exposures in common everyday life and kitchens and things of that sort.
Yeah, given the prevalence of this product, I don't know anybody that doesn't have some kind of either corian, so that's probably a different product, or quartz countertops. We've all got some sort of what we call granite quartz countertops somewhere here in our house because that's what everybody uses. And yes, those things obviously have to get cut into shape. And when you cut through them, somebody's breathing that dust, because I never see them wearing any sort of masks or anything when they install them in my house.
Exactly. So bringing awareness to this issue is very important because there's mitigation strategies like wearing masks during cutting and even water suppression of dust release, meaning that when they're cutting through the quartz, then water is being progressively released on the area so that it doesn't let the silica dust fly off.